Don't shy away from the big three. That would be your bench press, your squat, and your deadlift. Of course, standard body weight exercises like push-ups and pull-ups and air squats and burpees and all that stuff. You should be able to do those and incorporate those into your training. Don't shortchange those things. Body weight exercise, when mixed with external resistance training, has just massive benefit, and it's good to just mix it up. We believe that you are strong by design, and you were made in God's image to have a strong body, mind, and spirit. You're listening to the #1 strength and health authority podcast in the world. So let's get ready to unlock your potential and transform your life in today's episode. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode here on the Strong by Design podcast. Hosting today, Coach Chris Wilson. We are super excited to have you as a listener on today's episode, and hope that you've been enjoying the Strong by Design podcast. If you're a new listener today, you have a lot of episodes behind you here to go back and listen to, hundreds of episodes. If you're a recurring listener, we're grateful for you as a listener. We hope that you're finding our show helpful in your life on some level, whether it's in body, mind, or spirit. Of course, we tackle all kinds of topics here on the podcast. We don't shy away from really any conversation or discussion. And today's is a little bit more targeted to the fitness and health of men. Obviously, the title gives that one away. So I'm not I'm not saying anything that you didn't click on, or click for. So I'm just going to have some fun here, running through what I feel are some of the pillars when it comes to men's health, certainly men over 40, and kind of my mindset, right? How I go about my health, maybe some of my failings and some of my focuses and some of my thoughts and feelings on these things. And we're going to kind of just run through almost like a checklist, if you will, or the 411. Now, as you know, if you're older, like me, I'm almost 50, and 411 was always the information line that you would call. So not 911, not an emergency, the 411. If you needed information to find a phone number or some type of maybe local business for something, you would type in 411 and you would get the information that you needed fast. Well, again, today I'm giving you the 411 on men's strength and men's health. And as I said, I created kind of a nice checklist, if you want to call it that, of topics that are certainly top of mind for a lot of guys who are a little bit health conscious or looking to maintain a certain amount of strength or resistance training in their lives. Certainly that's a major player, a major factor in our overall health, longevity, energy, all of those things. So why is the number one, or should I say maybe what is the number one thing that men need to be mindful of? Well, I'm going to give you the 411 on testosterone because that's kind of the starting point, if you will, for men, certainly over the age of 40, because I think up till that point, we can kind of get away with not being focused on our hormone, our number one man-making hormone. We, in our 20s, it's kind of at its peak. It's optimal, regardless really of a lot of things, regardless of our sleep, regardless of our nutrition, regardless of our exercise, our physical activity. It's just a hormonal thing when it comes to chronological age that in your 20s through, really 30 or early 30s, your testosterone is kind of at its highest level, and then you start to see a drop-off as you get into your 30s. And you might not even notice it or feel that drop-off. It's very kind of slow. But by the time you get into your 40s, if it's something that you're disregarding or not paying any attention to, you're going to start to feel it. You're going to feel it in real time in your day, and how you wake up, and the energy you have throughout your day, and your ability to build or maintain muscle, in your ability to lose fat, and your moods, and all of these things. It's your focus, your mental clarity, all these things, as is estrogen with women. And those two things obviously are part of our lives as men and as women. Men and women both have testosterone and estrogen at far different levels, right? It's kind of flipped. And it's when those hormones are in disarray or a little bit out of whack is when we feel out of whack ourselves. So men, I would say by mid-30s, really got to start thinking about this stuff, and certainly into their 40s and beyond. And there are a lot of natural ways to maximize or optimize your testosterone. In terms of, I have a screen up in front of me, in terms of the benefits of high testosterone, well, actually, let me start with some of the concerns when it comes to testosterone. Joint pain. We can have more joint pain because our testosterone levels are low. Low energy levels, as I already alluded to. Low sex drive, so your libido is messed up. Easier to store fat when your testosterone is low or not in check, not optimized. Harder to gain muscle, as I already said. Heart disease. So your risk of heart disease increases because your testosterone is out of whack. Depressed or depression is a factor. We don't quite feel ourselves. Stress, anxiety, depression, certainly attributed to testosterone levels not being optimal or in a healthy range for men. Less confidence in all areas of life. That's not a good thing. So it's, again, plays into that mental state. Increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. So there's a lot of things right there that I just named that are clear indicators of potential hormonal issues. Number one being your testosterone level as a man. So the benefits of having high testosterone: more confidence, sharper memory, positive outlook, a healthier heart, easier to burn fat. So while active and while inactive, like when you start to focus on muscle and strength training and gaining muscle, your body, your metabolism does a far better job of running and burning up stored fat. Improved sex drive, faster muscle gain, and optimal circulation. You look and feel younger, your energy levels are higher and throughout the day. And one thing I didn't say, you will sleep better. If your testosterone is optimized and in a healthy range, you will sleep better. These all things play off of each other. They're all connected, for sure. There's not one of these things isolated. These are all things that are have a great deal of impact on each other. So let me get back to where's my other screen here, Chris? There it is. So we've talked a little bit, obviously, about testosterone. I kind of had to start there as a man who's 49 going on 50 years old. I myself have, dealt with some testosterone things and checking that. I actually haven't checked my testosterone levels in, I want to say 3 years-ish. 3 years-ish. For a while, I was going to a local clinic where I was actually getting a prescription DHEA and pregnenolone, those are over-the-counter things. I was just getting like pharmaceutical grade DHEA and pregnenolone prescribed by a doctor through a health clinic over in Tampa. And I was also taking our natural testosterone booster, previously called T-Drive, now called Critical T, under the Critical Nutrition Labs label. And I've continued to take the same ingredients, same list of same formulation, just under a new name, new label. And I've been taking that for 10 years, and I feel pretty darn good. So I imagine, without getting it checked in recent years, that I'm still at a very healthy level. in terms of energy, in terms of sleep, in terms of muscle gain and strength and stuff. I actually feel as strong now as I did 10 years ago in a lot of ways. So that's a good thing. The question is, how are you feeling? So you got to answer that for yourself. The 411 now on strength after 40, seeing as though I've just talked about that for myself, how your training needs to shift with your age. Number one, you need to be very mindful of how your body feels. You need to listen to your body. You need to know what your limits are and stay within those things. A body in its 40s doesn't quite feel or move the same as a body in its teenage years or 20s, but it doesn't mean that we can't do the bulk of the things that we once did. We just maybe have to, do things slightly different. We might need to warm up for longer. We might need to do things for shorter durations. We might have to maybe not do lifts, 1 rep maxes as frequently, and stick more in our 70 to 90% 1 rep max when it comes to weights that we're working with. We just need to be mindful of these things. Seek healthy alternatives and variations to exercises. But as I always say, in all the content that I've made over the years, especially on YouTube, is we need to continue to move dynamically. We need to work in as many ranges of motion as possible to move the joints, the shoulders, the hips, the knees, the ankles, the neck, all of these things, the spine, through as much range of motion, the healthy ranges of motion as possible, and be able to maintain strength in those ranges of motion. And doing explosive exercises, you should not shy away from. You can still do those safely, as long, again, as you're warmed up and you're working with loads that make sense and your technique is sound. I'm definitely a bit of a technique, I don't say snob, but I like good technique on exercises, so I hold myself in check as I would with anybody else that I was training with or coaching in any way. Best lifts, what I wrote here, best lifts and rep ranges for longevity. So I wrote, the big three. Don't shy away from the big three. That would be your bench press, your squat, and your deadlift. Of course, standard body weight exercises like push-ups and pull-ups and air squats and burpees and all that stuff. You should be able to do those and incorporate those into your training. Don't run from those things. Don't shortchange those things. Body weight exercise, when mixed with external resistance training, it has just massive benefit, and it's good to just mix it up. And some of my workouts, I have a combination of body weight stuff with weights. I'm always kind of mixing and matching things. And your strength training, as I alluded to a few minutes ago, should focus on 70 to 80%, maybe even up to 90% of your 1 rep max. But typically 70 to 80% is going to be like an 8 to 10, 8 to 12 rep range for most of your lifts, okay? So if you're working, power lifters, they're a whole different level. They typically are working in the high 80s to 100% of their max effort, and that's just a different thing. That's a competitive thing. It's certainly not, it takes its toll on the body. It's not an easy experience for the body, and typically very painful, and doesn't have, but if you do it right, I've seen people who still push the limits of their capabilities as they age, and they do it the right way. But for most people who aren't training that way, I would say 70 to 80% of your 1 rep max. So say you're a person who knows that like 225 pounds on the bench press probably is about as heavy as you could get for 1 rep. Then you want to figure out, with simple math, what's 70 to 80% of that weight, and probably work in that range. It doesn't mean that you can't still get stronger as long as your training approach is sound, again, and you're doing the right warm-ups and all that stuff. I'm a huge advocate for warming up, moving your body, smartly for a good 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes even more, but 10 to 15 minutes where you're breaking a sweat, where you're doing specific movement patterns that are dynamic, that are maybe even explosive, that prepare you for the lift that you're about to do. And then I wrote here the importance of recovery, your mobility work, doing some yoga, walking, light activity, light exercises that are, more fun-based. I put here, of course, your water intake is huge. Drinking water on your training days and on your non-training days. Hydrating every day is super, super duper important. Start early so that you're not drinking massive amounts of water like after dinner time and having to, disrupt your sleep, going to the bathroom a lot. So drink a lot of water right from when you wake up all day long with meals. And it's really hard to overdrink water, especially if you're active or live in certain climates. I live in Florida. You can probably get away with drinking extra water in this, heat and humidity. And deep breathing and, of course, sleep, I wrote. So, obviously a whole blend there of things that impact your strength. But you have to take care of your body while you're training it, but also when you're not training it. And sleep is a huge part of that. Huge part. I mean, obviously, we've done episodes talking about sleep and its impact on you. I mean, if you're trying to impact your testosterone in a positive way, you could start with just getting more sleep, getting to bed at a better time. And I'm talking to myself here because I have a tendency to stay up too late on occasion, but I think I make up for it. But I am a sound sleeper. I feel like even if I'm just getting 6 hours of sleep, it is a good 6 hours, and I wake up and I feel pretty good. So, we're all in a kind of different needs. We really do. And sometimes 7 for me, I feel is like my sweet spot right now. If I get 7, I feel really, really good. I don't feel like I'm shortchanging myself at all. What's the 411 on mobility and injury prevention, Chris? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, I wrote here why flexibility and mobility are underrated for men and the importance of and value of rolling around on the mat, doing yoga, crawling, stuff like that. So this gets kind of into that. What are those movement patterns that you're doing maybe right before you work out or you could use as a warm-up? I think of things like rocking and rolling on a mat. I think of crawling exercises. I think of rotation or twisting movements. I think of things that open up your hips or rotate, twist your spine. I do a lot of these things. I do them sometimes just on their own if I don't have a lot of time and I just want to get in some kind of movement. I will just roll around. We have big blue mats out there. They're kind of like MMA mats, all pushed together in the compound. You've probably, if you watch us on YouTube, you've no doubt seen those. Sometimes I'm just moving around on those. I'll be on all fours. I'll be on my back. I'll be on my side. I'll be, kind of just trying to open up and loosen my hips. I sit a lot. I sit at a computer during my work. I sit when I'm in the car. I sit when I'm at home. Sit. We talk about it all the time. It's one of the, those underlying killers. It's one of those silent killers, one of those things that we're doing to ourselves without realizing we're long-term damage of it, sitting repeatedly all day, every day. And so we got to undo the damage with movement. And so healthy movements that increase our joint mobility, increase our flexibility, right? Mobility is more joint-based, I would say, or joint going through its range of motion, whereas flexibility is more muscular, right? The muscle going through its full range of motion. And those two things obviously are connected and work together, but focus on both of those things. And yoga, we do here weekly, is a huge benefit. I do yoga just because it helps with the breathing, it helps with the range of motion, and I think it's very healing, especially for a lifelong lifter. I've been lifting weights since I was in my early teens, and I'm almost 50. So my body has a lot of years of weight training behind it, and I think yoga really, really helps. Been doing it for years. I wrote here also simple daily movements that protect your joints. What are some simple things you can do? It's just standing up from your chair, and rotating a little bit, reaching up in the air. My TED Talk, I did a little demonstration when I did a TED Talk earlier this year in 2025, talking about just a few simple movements, how instantly changes your cognitive function and the way you feel. You're just like a mood shift just to stand up and move for 16 seconds. Well, the same thing can be for your joints and for your body. It just wakes things up. It circulates things. That's why going out for a walk, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes outside in the middle of your day, maybe after you eat lunch, it is so life-giving and so helpful and beneficial. We do it here all the time. I walk every morning with my dogs for about 20-25 minutes, and I love that. As much as it is a chore, I really do look forward to it, and I miss it if I don't do it, which is rare. It's almost an everyday thing. The dogs need exercise. I need the exercise. I get the fresh air. I get the sun. Well, it's great at middle of the day too. It's a great break from your work. It's a mental break. It helps circulate blood. It helps your digestion. It helps your mood. It helps your cognitive function. You could bring your phone with you and talk to somebody that you haven't talked to in a while. You could listen to a podcast. You could listen to some music that you love, right? Or just listen to nature while you're out walking. I don't bring technology with me in the morning when I walk my dogs. I like to hear the birds. I like to talk to my dogs. I like to just be connected a little bit with the outdoors, even if it's just through my neighborhood. But it's life-giving to me, and I'm grateful for it. And so I encourage you to do the same. And I just wrote here, staying in the game longer, not sidelined by aches and pains. Aches and pains hold people back. People are in pain when they move or when they don't move, right? Think about it. When your body gets older and you got some aches and you got some pains, you could be achy and in pain and not do anything about it, or you can be a little achy and in pain and do something about it. So be the person that moves. Be the person that says, you know what, this kind of ailment, I got to try and figure out a way to work around it. But I tell you what, when you move and you circulate blood is healing. Blood circulates and gets into different parts of the body, and it's healing. That's what it's doing. It's bringing all the material and the nutrients and the oxygen and all the things that your body needs in a better way. When you move, you circulate, your blood flow improves, and your healing capacity improves. And I just say, if you want to feel better longer, just move your body and never stop. Never stop moving your body. It's when we stop moving our body that we start losing the capacity for movement. And it's a very quick drop off. So don't stop. Move every single day. Move multiple times a day. And guess what? You'll continue to be able to move in life. And I'm talking to, obviously, kind of the older community at this point, because once we get into our maybe 50s, but certainly 60s and 70s, that's not for me. I'm too old for that, blah, blah, blah. Once we start telling ourselves that and stop moving the way we once did, we're going to lose that ability. So don't lose that ability. And that's what I tell myself all the time. Like, don't stop doing the things I love doing now. I want to do them for as long as I possibly can, even if I have to tailor them a little bit or do variations of them. I was just doing sprints the other night from pole to pole while my daughter was in softball practice. And I was sitting there and I knew the practice was going to be about another 15 minutes. And I said, I could just sit here and scroll on my phone for another 15 minutes. And I think I'd already worked out that day. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was a day off. But I said, you know what I would really like to do right now? I'd like to move. Well, what's an effective way to move my body in a short amount of time? Well, I could just walk around the complex, or I could go over to that field where nobody's doing anything. It was an empty baseball field, and I could start at the one foul pole and do a sprint all the way to the other, along the fence, all the way to the other foul pole, and just rest for 20, 30 seconds and sprint back. And I did that 10 times. And I don't know what that distance is. I think it's roughly, I don't say 100 yards, but I think it's roughly about 100 yards, about the same, on a big ball field. It's about the same distance from end zone to end zone. And I did 10 of those with very short 20, 30-second breaks in between, and I felt awesome. I sweat. and I felt so good. And I just, you know what it is? I felt good that I did it. Not just, I just felt mentally better that I did it. Like, man, I had 10 minutes and I took advantage of it, and I didn't miss anything. They were not even quite done with the practice yet. And I'd already watched like an hour plus of the practice. So I took a few minutes for myself, and it really made a world of difference. And I encourage you to do the same for yourself. Okay, so what's the 411 on nutrition for vitality? I'm going to fly through some stuff here real quick, okay? So listen up or take notes. Number one, start with protein. Lead with protein. Your muscles require it. When you eat protein, you have a tendency to also consume some fat. Most protein sources, not all, but most, have a certain amount of fat that comes with it. So that's good. You're getting, typically animal-based proteins, right? And you're getting some kind of fat along with it. Fat your body needs, your brain especially, and it's good. And of course, there's lean proteins, and there's kind of middle of the road, and then there's fatty proteins, but protein from fish, also higher in fat, really, really good source. So don't knock it. If it's if it's man-made, or if it's deep fried, maybe it's it shouldn't be one of your go-tos. But there's a lot of options there when it comes to a lot of different white fish. Obviously, steak maybe once or twice a week. Chicken, a lot. Eggs, obviously. I have probably, I don't know how many eggs I eat in a week. A lot. We go through a lot of eggs at my house. My wife loves eggs. My kids like eggs. So I said here, try to eat your protein 80 to 90% of the time, and add in healthy fats like good oils, avocados, nuts, fish. Yeah. Lead with protein. Try to get as much protein in as you can. And if you start with protein in your meal, at least, and you fill up, at least you got your protein in. Don't start with all your carbs and all the other stuff. Start with the one that matters most. And then you can fill the gaps with the other things. I also wrote here, energy stabilizing foods versus energy draining foods. So I wrote whole foods, your quality proteins and fats versus your processed foods and crappy carbs. So obviously we know there's a lot of boxed processed foods, things that are frozen, things that are sitting on a shelf for months. Like those shouldn't be your go-tos. You should look for fresh options as much as possible. You should try and do home-cooked meals or bring those things in for lunches. Do things that require a little bit of work that maybe you can cook in bulk, and you're just going to have healthier options to eat rather than things that are quick and convenient that you can run and go pick up. Now, luckily, there have, I would say in the last, 10 years, a lot of healthier kind of quick grab options have popped up, and even at like 7-Elevens and stuff like that, where you can go and grab some, hard-boiled eggs. You can grab little packets of things that maybe have like a meat and cheese kind of thing going on, that at least are better options than in the past of going to fast food and stuff. So try to, and not to say I'm perfect, I'll have fast food on occasion with the family. It's rare, and it's more of a reward convenience thing on a tough night of sports or after school, whatever, and you just can't quite squeeze in a real meal at the house. But I would say 90 to 95% of the time, I'm eating foods that were made at my house or that I brought into work to eat here at the office. Supplements. We've talked a lot about food. Supplements that are worth considering. Well, we have a whole bunch of them in our Critical Nutrition Lab store. We have a Critical Health Stack, which is your omega-3s with probiotic and a vitamin D plus magnesium. That's our Critical Health Stack. Those are really important ones. Really good stuff there. Of course, I've talked briefly about Critical T that I've been taking for over the same formulation. I think it's over 10 years now. I think we first released T Drive is the name. It was in 2014. I feel like it was, 2014, 2015. So, 2025. So it's at least 10 years. I've been taking the same formulation and under the name of Critical T by Critical Nutrition Labs. And I believe in it. Has really good stuff in it. All science-backed ingredients. What else? What else should we be taking as men? Creatine monohydrate. There's no supplement out there that has more science and more studies behind it than creatine monohydrate. There's lots of different ones out there that are good, brands and stuff. Added into a post-workout protein shake, added into a yogurt, Greek yogurt. There's a variety of ways to consume it. The powdered form is the best. So you just put in a nice 5 to 10 milligram scoop. If you haven't been taking it and you need to kind of load it, you could do a double up for a few weeks to really get it in your system, and then just go to one serving a day. Whey protein, again, lots of good options out there. Try to consume most of your protein with whole foods, but it's a great gap filler to have a standby whey protein that you trust, that tastes good, that you can maybe have right after a workout or at any time in the day, that just kind of fills that gap. It's a supplement. It's supplemental protein. So try to have, 80+% of your protein coming from real food, and then supplement the rest. What else? Boron is really good for your bones and muscles. A multivitamin, a good multivitamin that we're going to actually be adding to our Critical Nutrition Lab store real soon. And of course, zinc. Zinc is a really good thing. Maybe one day we'll add something like that to our store as well. Zinc is good pre-bedtime, along with magnesium. The two combined are really good for recovery, for sleep right before you go to bed. Lot of science behind those things as well. So vitamin D, really good for bone health and immune function. Magnesium, muscle function, sleep, and stress management. Your omega-3 fatty acids, we know this. I'm not telling you anything new with omega-3, right? Reduces inflammation and is great for heart health. Just about anybody I've ever dealt with in the medical field loves. I knew a cardiac guy, a heart surgeon, very well accomplished. He put his own label on omega-3s. He's a big believer in omega-3s and heart health. So load up on your omega-3 fatty acids. Zinc is really good for immune function, prostate health, and wound healing. So take your zinc. We got to get our own zinc out there one of these days. But to find zinc, there's a lot of good ones out there. Your multivitamin, make sure it's good in your B vitamins, as it should be. Has calcium. These things are good for bone density, energy, brain function, blood cell formation, and ensuring adequate intake of your essential nutrients. Make sure that the multivitamin that you're taking has good levels of these ingredients in them. Sometimes they try to kind of add or sneak things in or not tell you, know what you're taking and know that they're at effective dosages, if I could say it plainly. Don't take something just because it says the right thing, but then you look and you go, oh, it only has 1 milligram of that or whatever that, that's not quite a very good level based on some of the research I did. Do a little bit of light research for yourself, Creatine, as I said, muscle growth and muscle strength. You're going to feel it. You're going to see it in how it helps you in the gym for sure. And then you have some prostate supplements like saw palmetto, leucine, an amino acid. Leucine is an amino acid that supports muscle protein synthesis. So those are just a couple of more maybe additional things that you could add in as a man for your prostate health. And of course, amino acids are the building blocks to our protein. So there's a lot of good amino acids out there. I could go on naming a few more things, but I wanted to give you kind of an overview of some things I feel are very beneficial to you and that you can find in our Critical Nutrition Labs store. Just go to criticalnutritionlabs.com and shop around. There's lots of great stuff there. So what's the 411 on mindset and discipline as we kind of come to the towards the end of where what I'm exploring as a man, 49 years old, who wants you to be as well-rounded as possible. Well, you have to, your mind has to be right. Like Todd Durkin, right? Love that guy. He was on our podcast years ago. He's so great. He's like, get your mind right. He's right. The body moves the mind and the mind moves the body. The two things are so connected. And but when your mind's right and you're disciplined, everything just seems to fall into place physically. I wrote here, I said, fitness is the foundation oftentimes for confidence and for leadership, like how we see ourselves, how we feel, the energy required to be disciplined really starts, there's a mental fitness thing and a physical fitness thing, those two things are intertwined, interconnected, and they play off each other certainly. But once we start moving in life, it's like a snowball at the top of a mountain. It's really hard to stop the momentum that you get from it. And those two things just become like synonymous with each other. And so your mental strength is getting flexed and getting worked, right? And your physical strength, same thing. And those two things just are great companions. And so it improves when you work on one, or the other. You're helping your energy, your confidence, as I alluded to earlier with the testosterone, your confidence, your cognitive impact. It's a great mood enhancer. You're feeling strong. You're feeling capable. All these things can come about from physical movement. It can really impact how our minds work, how we feel about ourselves. I wrote here how showing up in the gym translates to showing up in life. If we can be disciplined enough to make time for ourselves in the gym, if we can make time for all these other things that are really less important, like scrolling or some of the playing video games or whatever it is. Now, I'm not saying those things are bad. They're not bad. You can do them. But if you have plenty of time for those things, you got to find the time then for physical activity and showing up in the gym. And that could be your home gym. That could be a fitness center in your community, a hardcore gym, kind of if you're listening to this, you probably have a gym membership. There's a good chance if you listen to the Strong by Design podcast, you have a gym membership or you're training at home. And either one, I do both. I have a great, my wife and I turned our garage mostly into our own little fitness center. But I have a huge, awesome gym here too. So I have no excuse whatsoever. And if you're not finding the time, make the time. Get up a little earlier. Work out at night. I can't tell you how many times I've done like a late night workout. Everybody went to bed. It's after 9 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. And I'm like, man, I didn't get my workout in today. I'm going to go into the gym in my garage and I'm going to work out for a little while because I got to get it in. I've done it many times. Mike Gillette, our friend, has talked about that many times where it's just, it's the secret of the clock, he calls it. The secret of the clock is that the clock should not dictate you getting stuff done. Who cares it's 10 or 11 at night and you didn't work out or you haven't been working out? Go work out or get up at 4 a.m. and do it, right? And then lastly, I said here, discipline with your physical health leads to discipline in all areas of your life. And there's so much proof of that and evidence of that. It's just crazy. That is a fact. One mindset shift that men need to make today is to replace one bad habit with one good habit. So what's one thing that you're doing, and I'll tell you what mine is right now, and you can replace it with one good habit and stick to that for 30 days to lock it in. Evaluate and proceed with another one. Follow this method repeatedly. That's what I wrote. It's like I wrote like little instructions for how to do this. This replace one bad habit with one good habit. It could be anything small. It could be I'm not drinking enough water. So this is what I'm going to do to drink more water. Every day when I first wake up, I'm going to have a full glass, like a 16 ounce to 20 ounce glass of water. You can drink it kind of fast. You can sip on it maybe while you're having your coffee, whatever it is, but drink that 16 to 20 ounces of water within the first hour of being awake. Every time you have a meal, drink a full glass of water. And certainly while you're working out, drink extra water. Drink as much water as you can while you're exercising. So drinking water, really easy thing to start to improve on, because so many of us are just walking around dehydrated. What's mine? What you want to know? What's my bad habit? Well, I have several of them, but one of them is I think that I am leaning too much on caffeine. You become addicted to things, right? You become addicted to the coffee you have in the morning, maybe an afternoon iced coffee, become addicted to a Celsius or a Monster or whatever. And so this is something I'm aware of, and I have thought seriously about, like, man, I probably need to go on a little bit of a caffeine break, or at least a caffeine reduction. So this is something that I think I'm probably messing up on and can improve on. There's other things that I'm certainly I can work on, but that's just one that comes to mind for me. And so I have to come up with, hey, instead of having a Celsius right now or a cup of coffee at 2 in the afternoon, what if I just chug a glass of water and then go outside for a quick walk or something instead? And that'll probably energize me as much or more than if I was to have a stimulant drink. There are alternatives to perking yourself up than drinking more caffeine. So, although some caffeine is reported to be, I think, very beneficial for us, but like a lot of things, too much of a good thing can become a bad thing. So, check yourself, lean into that a little bit, and be honest with yourself. What's a bad habit that you think you have? Try replacing it with a good one. Do it for a month, and then reevaluate and try to go after another one once you've locked it in, right? So that's the 411 on a lot of things for us men, for our overall health, for our strength, and for, really impacting our number one man-making hormone, which is testosterone. And if that is something that's prioritized, something that we're thinking about, something that's optimized, certainly as we get older, we will hold on to our youth, I think, as long as we possibly can. Don't stop moving. Don't stop making time for yourself and doing something that has long-term impact. Because I know if you're listening to this, you care about how you age into your 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, and that you want to be as strong and capable and independent as you can for as long as possible, and be there for people that count on you and love you, and do what you can to have the best, longest quality of life that you can have. And I just encourage you to go check out our Critical Nutrition Labs website. It's really a beautiful thing. It has a blog. There's articles in there. You can learn so much about things that you should be supplementing your body with and improving your overall health with. So, Coach Chris here at Strong by Design. I hope you got a lot out of this today. Listen to it again. If I said a lot of stuff here, check the show notes. I'll try and give you some links in the show notes to things that can be helpful for you as well. But if you got to, hit rewind and take some notes or whatever, do it, man. Lots of good stuff there. Thank you so much for coming back to the show. And if you're a first-time listener, welcome. Please continue to support what we're doing here at Critical Bench on the Strong by Design podcast. We love you, and I'll be talking to you real soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Strong by Design podcast. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe so that more people can find out about our show. Plus, you don't want to miss any future episodes with the amazing guests and topics we have lined up for you.